Another Sunday, another case of the Scaries to start work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries. We have all your gore, lore, and more, covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all those juicy innards. Pour yourself a nightcap and turn your fright lights while we take you on a tour of terror.
Hello.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? What's happening? Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Scaries. What's going on? I see we got Erica in the chat. What's going on, Violet? Welcome. Gracie's here. Penelope, the whole crew. We got Necro, Super Sailor Outlaw. That is a new one for me. I don't know if that they came in from your streams there, Adrian. I'm not sure, but welcome.
Huh.
We're happy to have you.
What's going on?
What's happening? Yes, this week we have a guest, a very, very special guest, because this is actually, I'm like 99% sure this is the first time we've ever had a director of a horror film on the Sunday Scary. So thank you, sir. Welcome. And I think before we get started here, I did just want to mention, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I meant to put a post out once we confirmed all this, but time slipped by, working on a big video behind the scenes. If you have not seen Body Cam, that is Brandon, the filmmaker here's most recent film, and it is on Shudder streaming right now. Check it out. You guys have seen our review. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we just did an interview and you guys invited me. So I was just like, my kids and my wife are out of town, or they're like got a staycation thing with my mother-in-law. And I was just like, I've got nothing to do tonight. Let's do it.
Well, hell yeah. Thank you. We really appreciate you coming on. It's always great to have guests, but again, we've never had anybody who's like actually actively making movies, like especially someone like you who's made multiple horror films. And like you said, you had like we were talking just before, I think like 5 of them are on Shudder right now.
Yeah, one of them's not, but yeah, the rest of them they're all on there still.
And that is just really where, like, I think I can say safely where Luke and I want to be eventually, is like if we can get to the point where we're just consistently releasing stuff. Like we don't need to be the next James Cameron or anything, but like we've got ideas that we need to get out. So it's truly inspiring to have somebody on here who's just like actually doing that. You know, so many people talk about doing that. You're one who still found a way to make horror movies in 2026. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. It's a crazy time, but I mean, you guys are building a following and stuff, so you know, just you can do it. It sucks, and you just have to do it.
Yeah. Lots of legwork, but it does shape you. I feel like I'm getting shaped as every day that I hit the hurdle and try to climb up the hill and get kicked back down. But it's a shaping, you know. But yeah, this has been a super interesting week. I know we had a new release. We didn't get a chance to check it out as far as fun stuff going on, but I don't think any of us on the panel, unless Brandon, did you happen to check out? Was it They Will Kill You? I've been hearing some good things.
Now. I've seen a ton of ads for that over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it seems to be like people are calling it like very Kill Bill-esque. And yeah, I was just curious if anybody in chat has seen it. Let us know what you got going on there. We're super curious. I know I think Jake gave it a pretty positive review, Killjoy Jake. So he's a friend of the channel there.
What I've been hearing all across the board. I know it's one we didn't get out to see, but I don't know. I might circle back this week because I've been hearing so many good things about it. And it was like, I know Ready or Not 2 just came out. A lot of people were comparing it to that just from the trailers alone. So it seems like there's way more to that film than what we were expecting. So I don't know. I might have to go out this week and check that one out.
Yeah, it had my curiosity for sure. I think just it's one of those where we've just had such a stacked couple of months. Honestly, I never expected, but like we've had a pretty decent sized horror release to big horror release in theaters every week the last month, and then a couple in February. So it's been pretty stacked. And then obviously, like with the streamers and everything, they're constantly offering new things and cool stuff there to check out. So it has been very front heavy, I will say, 2026 so far with horror stuff, but I'm not complaining. It's just more stuff to talk about. Luke, anything fun going on this week? Anything happen that you want to mention? Noteworthy stuff? Let the folks know.
Nothing too noteworthy. We're prepping for a joint list that should be coming out this Friday. So not to spoil anything, I've been deep diving into the world of some underrated creatures and things. So a couple of rewatches, and then I just showed my wife Scarface for the first time. So
yeah, very cool.
She was not sure what to expect. I have again, I don't want to spoil too much, but I have a list coming out where I'm covering an early Al Pacino film, Cruising, and had her see that film. She had never seen it, didn't know what to expect on that film, and she really enjoyed it. And I was like, "Hey, want to see something completely different from Al Pacino?" Let's go to Scarface. So she had never seen the chainsaw scene, obviously, or never heard of it. So that was a fun experience for the first time.
Now she has to watch Scent of a Woman and then Heat.
There we
Just
go.
We're going all across the
way
board
in there too.
And then end it with Jack and Jill.
Perfect.
The man's range is untouchable. It's
End it with an
great.
exclamation point.
Absolutely. Adrian, anything big going on horror wise? Anything fun happening this week?
Yeah, dude. So I'm getting ready to stream Alien. Almost messed it up. Almost said Isolation. I'm very stoked to check out that game. I'm thinking I'm going to do like a Monday, Wednesday kind of rotation on starting this upcoming week, which would be tomorrow. But anyway, Besides that, I finally got around to watching The Mummy with my girl. And dude, that was such a good time. Having never seen it before, I didn't know what to expect. And it just felt like a great 1911 flavor there. Yeah, I'm just talking about the time period. Like, it was weird. It was like cowboys and, Industrial Revolution type vibes mixed with kind of like that, oh, we're like flying to exotic countries and exploring type energy. I don't know, man. That's
Very
the vibe I
Indiana
got from
Jones.
it. Very Indiana Jones.
I hate to really just hijack this, but this has been such a weird fucking day. All right. Earlier today, we recorded a review, and Luke said, yeah, last night I showed my daughter Courage the Cowardly Dog. And I was like, no shit. I literally turned that on for Atticus for the very first time yesterday, like maybe 3 hours before. He had never seen it. His kid never seen it, just randomly. I just literally finished watching The Mummy with Atticus and Haley, like through dinner and everything. We finished it. I came down here to get set up. No shit.
I love that.
We're just all synced up right now, dude.
Hive mind.
It's going well. Yeah, it's going well.
We're in mind now. That's insane. Yeah, The Mummy was a super good time. I'm excited to check out the sequel to it. So, and then, I kind of checked it out in the first place because I heard of kind of like, was it The Mummy remake is coming?
Mm-hmm. It's not a remake. It's going to be a sequel.
Yeah, it was a fourth installment. And Lee Cronin's got one coming out that's titled The Mummy, but it's not. Brendan Fraser's not in it. Unfortunately,
we don't know of. I think it's going to be one of those situations where Brendan Fraser will return, and then it's going to be at the end of Lee Cronin. So I'm just crossing my fingers.
He's in the new one that I think Radio Silence is doing. It's like the Mummy 4 or whatever. So he will be in that, but not the Lee Cronin one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with him and Rachel Weisz coming back, and then they just had that announcement that the brother, he was in Rome too. I remember. He's Lord. I forget his name too, but he's coming back as well. So they're really getting the whole band back together here. And I know I said it's like last week, I think, but I completely forgot that like Radio Silence, when we walked out of Ready or Not 2 last week, I was like, what are they doing next? Like I don't think they have anything. I forgot they were attached to this. So this is great. If there's any directing duo that I think like two people that I could think could do this really well, it'd be Lord and Miller, just because it seems like everything they do is pretty great, and they get that humor with the fun and the action, or Radio Silence right now. I mean, Abigail was a sweet treat. I liked Ready or Not 2, and yeah, it's like they've really got it. So I just didn't care for their Scream movies, honestly. Everything else they've done is gold. That's how I feel. So
yeah, fair enough. Ready or Not is next on my watch list. That one's been teasing me every time I flip open. Was it Hulu? It's like on the front page. This is recommended for you. Like, I know I'm gonna get there.
It's telling you got to hurry up. But Brandon, your week, sir. Any fun, interesting things? Check out anything fun? Watch anything? Hear any good news?
I watched Scream 7, and I don't know what you guys think about that. I'm sure you talked about it, but it had a good opening. The intro was cool. I think everything after that was pretty not great. But yeah, I know that was cool. I just watched Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie the other night, and it was weird. I was barely familiar with them because I'm Canadian. But that was like one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. And it was so inspiring. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's the most insane thing. And it's like the funniest movie experience I've had since Borat, which and like it's not too dissimilar because it weaves in some like real footage and stuff like that. But the amount of creativity in that film is so over the top insane that it was just like from beginning to end, I was just like smiling. And yeah, that was awesome. Then I've just been playing a bizarre amount of video games lately. Like when Requiem came out, I went back and I started playing all the old Resident Evils, and
Nice.
I played through like 3 on PS5, the 4 remake, 7, 8, and then I played Requiem, and then I just played The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 again, which I played them back in the day, but I hadn't played them since, and that was fun. It was I haven't played them since they came out, but it was great to revisit them. So it's been a weirdly high media week for me.
Huh.
Absolutely. Well, hell yeah, those are
That's
the
amazing.
best for me. I didn't do anything too fun or exciting as far as like new watches. I got a hankering just because like I did like Unhinged Performances as a big video last week, and I made an off-color joke about how I'm like, no, I'm not going to talk about Patrick Bateman. And ever since I said that in my video, I was like, I want to watch Psycho or American Psycho. So I watched that again and just really took that one in. I think I haven't seen that movie since I was probably like 17, 18. Realistically, I don't know when the last time I sat down and watched that was, but it's a good flick. Definitely a very great performance. I feel like I need to give that some credit somewhere down the road. But other than that, I mean, like I got a lot of questions for you then, Brandon. I got to ask, are you a fan of The Last of Us 2? You won't offend me if you're not. It's okay.
So like I love the first one. The story in the first one, the game was incredible. I played it when it first came out. I played it when they remastered it for the PS4. And then the second one came out. And I don't know if you remember, but before it came out, it was leaked. Like someone leaked all the big story stuff. And so there was kind of like a hate campaign going on about it. And, at the time, and it was a weird time in the world anyways, it kind of turned me off the game a bit, just knowing what was going to happen. And so I bought it on release and I played through it. And the gameplay loved. It was like so fun to play. It was such an evolution over the first one, but the story I hated. Like, and I didn't even hate that they did that to. How spoilery are we allowed to go here?
I think at this point everybody knows they already adapted it into a show again, so we're good.
Okay, yeah, him dying is fine. I just hated that the entire second half of the game, the Abby campaign, they're constantly like manipulating you to do things like, here, pet the dog you just killed earlier. Here, all of these things. And it's like, piss off. I don't want to feel bad. And then you get to the end of the game and you've killed 1,000 people, and then you get the opportunity to do the one, and it takes away that choice. And I feel like it would have been more powerful if they let you decide for yourself, like kill her or don't.
100%.
And then, then the ending is the ending. Either way, you did what you wanted as a player. You didn't just, get stripped of your agency at the end. So when I played it back in 2020, I was really mad at it. And I was like, screw that game. But going back, because I just finished it in like 3 days, I did the chronological version, which I didn't even know existed, but you can play it just in story order, which is cool. And that was pretty fun because you're just like jumping back and forth constantly. But I was just like skipping this cutscenes. I just wanted to do the gameplay and the scenarios and stuff, and that it was fun.
The gameplay is pretty damn intense in that game. The gunplay is like unreal. So like as far as somebody who's played a ton of those third, first, and first person, that's one thing about that game that just blows my mind. Even I'm somebody who will watch like just people do like speed runs of levels, where they're just literally doing like John Wick with Ellie, like running through levels, and it's like it's just entertaining. It's this, they ace that so well. But I'm sorry to cut you off. Continue.
No, you're good. And it was just it was cool to revisit it. And then I was like, they added some like roguelike thing. It's called, I think, like I can't remember what it's called. I played around to that and I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. Then they have like behind the scenes and deleted scenes from the game that you can play. And I was like, with like commentary, and I was like, okay, this is a very impressive package. Like I didn't give it the credit it deserved. So as a game, I think it's excellent, but I still hate the story. Like and the show is even worse. So I'm like, I'm not on board for any more.
No, I feel it, man. That was one of those things for me where I came to The Last of Us like really late. It had already had like its full run through PS3. Okay. I think I got it just after like maybe 2 years after the remaster for 4 had come out. So it had been a while. And I liked it. I understood why everybody loved it, but it was just one of those things to me where at its heart, it's just a road story. And like, I was just kind of like, okay, cool. I'm with that. And so coming into 2, I think that's why it grabbed me so much, because I didn't have that affinity that everybody had for it. So I almost had like the reverse, where it's like 2, I really loved how like it challenged me with like making me do that. And it's like I understand now looking back on it being less like, because you know, obviously with how heightened everything was, like you said at the time, it's like got to get all defensive and everything. I'm like, I can see why that would bother people, but to me, it's one of those where it was a very weird time in my life of being like, I really like this, and I feel like nobody else around me does, and I feel like I'm doing something wrong by doing it. And it was interesting, but I don't know. I want Last of Us 3, the video game. I could give or take the show, but I really want to see a little bit more of that story. I want to see what would happen with that and how we'd maybe come full circle. But I get where people are. It's one of the bigger, I guess you'd say, blunders of the last 10 years or so as far as video games go.
Have they ever
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I was just going to say, have they confirmed like working on the 3rd one yet?
Not a game, just the show.
Yeah, like a season 3, and I think I don't even know anybody's going to come back and
they're
watch
doing
that.
Intergalactic now.
I still haven't seen
that's
season 2 of Last of Us.
Neither have I. I'm too afraid to watch it just because like I talked to Evan. I basically played therapist with him through each like episode as he would like text and call me.
It was that bad, huh?
Well, because you know, Evan and I love the second game so much, and we really loved season 1. You liked it, everybody got on board, so we were like, this is their chance to really bring everybody over. And I haven't seen it, but just Evan explaining it to me, it is. I don't know why the hell they decided to do it that way. Why they decided to tell the story the way they are. It's like, it was already controversial enough when you did the first way. This is just more frustrating. Like, this is going to make people, I don't understand how this makes people want to stick on and come back for more. So, but I mean, it is what it is. We'll have more video like the next one that I'm curious to see is going to be God of War. I was for the casting, and then that first image, which I do want to wait till I see footage, but like, I just want to know like the marketing teams and the media teams when they do these things, and like especially magazines. You ever notice that magazine spreads are like ones that are like for Entertainment Weekly are so glossy? It's like, this is not the best look, guys. This looks like a costume. Like this, it's like just add the cinematics. Let the artist like just take a screenshot. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. But you know, I guess that's why I'm not in marketing. So yeah. But I guess I know I wanted to open this up a little bit here and kind of go through if since we have you here, Brandon, and you are, like we said, a very established filmmaker. We wanted to pick your brain a little bit. We talk about this stuff constantly, and I think I'll pass it off to Luke first, not to rehash your interview, but if there was maybe a few more follow-up questions or anything we could get us started with, I would love to just pick your brain a little bit about just like what it's like making horror movies like nowadays. Like how are you able to get it done? Like it's pretty impressive,
man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of ground in our interview, so everyone be on the lookout for that one. But you know, we had talked a little bit about just the difference. Night of the Reapers, another one Brandon had done just a few months ago that was released, and I know that one was met with a lot of positivity. And then you kind of look at Body Cam now, that one being more found footage. In terms of like those and just a creative process, I guess getting a film made is that they're both on Shudder. Do you think the market favors one over the other in terms of properties, or like Dylan had talked to you right before we had gotten on, we're seeing I don't know if it's us being more aware of found footage or not, but it just seems like there are a lot of creators going that route with things. And I know budgetary, everything like that. I just didn't know if maybe you thought, one over the other favors story more, and that's more so what people are looking for.
I don't know. I mean, like, you know, Reaper came out and it did fairly well. Like it was in their top 9 or whatever of the year, which was cool. Body Cam, I think it's penetrating the mainstream more, which is interesting. Like Shudder reviews and stuff, there's a lot, like it's number 1 on Shudder right now, and I saw that it was number 3 on AMC Plus, which I don't think Reaper ever hit that high. But no, it's been really interesting. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how to answer your question about found footage and story. I'm not 100% clear on that, but for me, it was just a cool idea I had forever ago, and I just had been wanting to do it for so long, and I had a little window, so I I kind of forced the issue because I was stressed out in post-production on another movie. And I was just like, everybody take a break. I'm going to go shoot this little found footage movie. And, you know, it just took an eternity to finish. So it didn't come out until, you know, this month. But yeah, I mean, do you mind clarifying what you meant there? I don't fully understand.
I didn't know if, in terms of like the market of getting things made, when you're creating more of a cinematic narrative versus
Oh, I
more
see.
found footage, do you think one, in terms of hunger, I guess maybe a studio, or just in that aspect of things, that in terms of getting something made, do you think
Sure.
there's a bigger hunger for the more traditional cinematic version, or it's more so found footage? Because we do see a lot of people going the found footage avenue in
Right.
terms of storytelling nowadays.
Well, I think, you know, I think found footage is really attractive for creators and like directors and stuff because it's so much cheaper to produce. But I don't think that there's any sort of I mean, the market favors more cinematic films for sure. You know, I think they get bigger releases and they get all that. But you know, I think at the end of the day, like body cam's a really cool gimmick, so it can penetrate that kind of side where people go like, oh, you know, body cam videos are so huge on YouTube. Like I'm watching them all the time and everything. So I think when people see that, they know instantly what it is. Whereas I think a lot of like found footage films that come out, they're a little bit more abstract and you don't really understand. So they don't pull that side of the, you know, people over. A friend of mine did Strange Harvest that came out last year.
Yes.
And that penetrated big as well because the idea is like so mainstream. It's like you know, nothing's bigger than true crime right now. And it feels like you're watching a Netflix documentary or something like that. So I think ideas that can penetrate are those ones that are like, they just sort of are very easy to understand. The gimmick is very obvious and you just go, oh, okay, I get it. And then you can, or in maybe body cam's case, they just got tricked and they're just like, oh, what's this? And they turn it on and the movie starts so fast that they can't turn it off until they, you know, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But I would say like where the money is with not found footage. Cause you know, even every time you want to do that, it usually has like it's almost like a scarlet letter on it a little bit. Like you never know how it's going to go. And so it's tough. I think you have a better shot with like a traditional thing, but it's, you know, it's a lot more expensive to produce.
Yeah. And I guess for my question on that, because like as somebody who's like and I talked a little bit about this off air, but like an idea for like a body cam style horror film, you know, something that would utilize that. Is there like what's like the biggest lesson I would say you learned from making this? Like, did you guys shoot it with actual body cams and everything? Or was this like a kind of, you know, you'd have some shots with it, but then some of it was cheating with the camera, just kind of, you know, simulating it? How did you guys accomplish this one?
So we had like we did have body cams, but we only used them for the night vision. The rest of the movie was shot on GoPros. So we built this like camera vest. It was like a SWAT team vest. It had a GoPro on the chest, and then it had a battery pack and a wireless transmitter on the back, so I could be out, you know, off somewhere as far as I could be because the actors could move kind of 360. And
That's
I would
dope.
be watching from there. Yeah. So, and the actors shot the full film, you know, other than the dash cam shots, everything was shot by the actors. And that was, you know, Stuart Ortiz, who did Strange Harvest, he has some body cam stuff in it. And when I was about to go into production, he's like, let your DP shoot all of the stuff. It's not going to work if you have the actors do it. But, you know, so we were going into it thinking that's what we had to do, but we tried it on the actors and they were moving around and we're like, oh, this looks so good. Like it looks so legit that we just let them shoot the whole movie. So it was such a weird film because it's like the actors are shooting and they're acting. And so when you're like giving notes on a scene, it's not like, hey, you need to like slow down your pacing, blah, 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 whatever the, you know, the creative actor notes are. There's also technical notes. You're like, hey, you need to stand still for that line when he's saying that. And then you need to whip over here and look at this thing. And so it was like this weird technical song and dance. And then when the actors flipped and it was like, okay, the other guy's got the camera on, they need to act differently because now they're not filming. So they need to like move like a human. And so watching that kind of, you know, the two different performances per scene was pretty funny because they'd be like moving like a Resident Evil character in the old ones, like the tank. You know, you know, their chest is puffed out and they're just like they got to turn specific. It was very just like rigid robots, and then they have to act like normal after. And it was pretty funny. But yeah, like GoPros don't have night vision, so we bought like the cheapest Amazon ones we could buy, and I have a few of them here. But yeah, they performed adequately, and so we were just like, you know, this movie's so cheap. This is what we're gonna do.
That's
That's
amazing,
badass.
because like even like just having like my personal woes of like writing this thing over the last couple of years and trying to rationalize in my head, doing research on like, do I buy body cams, do I cheat with like a GoPro or just a camera? It's like, and it's just like hearing how somebody actually pulled it off in a movie that I literally at times felt like it's different story, different setup, everything,
Sure.
but it's like one of those where it's like visually this is like you ripped it from my brain. Like that's how it felt. It was really a sending experience to watch it. And I was like, I think that was one of those things that just seeing somebody actually pull it off, it's like I had to know what you guys did and like what were probably some of the bigger challenges on this movie, if you had to lay out a couple. I know you guys already did your interview, but I just want them to hear on this, because I think it's very interesting how some of these, like, you know, movies, like you said, you basically stopped editing another movie to make this. Like that's insane. We can't even make one short film right now, and we're like, it's like you're doing two. You know,
you can. It's just well, I mean, you have to be a psycho to do this for, you know, because like when you have a studio behind you and you have money behind you, it's totally different. When you don't, like, I got paid basically nothing to make Body Cam, and it took 3 years to make. You know, we started shooting it in April of 2023, and then it came out this month. And so it was just I mean, the reason it took so long is because the visual effects were a complete nightmare. Because like Night of the Reaper, it had like 160 VFX shots or something like that, and I did all of them. But on Body Cam, when you're dealing with like the what is it called, God, why can't I think of it? Like the fisheye, the distortion of the lenses, and the constant movement, and it's a lower bit rate, so there's like macro blocking in the blacks and all these things. Like it's impossible to track anything because the image is always moving in a weird way. So we had so going into the shoot, I had no idea that I wouldn't be able to do everything, and I really just didn't plan for it. I was just like, I always figure it out. I'll figure it out again, and I didn't, and so. You know, like that, the big driving sequence at the end, for example, when we shot it during the 12-day principal production. And it was the very last thing we shot. We went to a farmer's market, and I was like laying in the back seat of the cop car reading the mom's lines along with Jamie as he's driving, and he's just doing figure eights and just like driving. And I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like I'll paint out the window. I'll rotoscope them out, and I'll put the thing in there. And then when we were editing, it was like, oh, that's never going to work. Like, that's impossible. The quality of the footage is so bad and all this stuff. So I started thinking about, okay, well, maybe we can do this in like Unreal Engine. And so we found this company in Vancouver that like specialized in Unreal Engine stuff. And we started talking to them, and we brought them on to do a lot of the VFX, like the 3D hole in the basement. Like that was just a green screen on the ground. Terrible idea, because when you walk up to it and you point a flashlight at it, all of a sudden green everywhere, right? So like I would have had I known, I would have just done black and just had the tracking markers on. It would have been fine. But I made it harder for myself, and I made it harder for them. And so it took that team, like we didn't have the money to pay them to do the film properly. You know, like we couldn't throw a couple $100,000 at them. That was the budget of the film. So we basically like piecemealed it, and they built this stuff, you know, kind of a la carte as we went through the post-production. But we had to kind of prioritize the Unreal thing. So we built like this city. They like generated a city, and I drew a path for them. And I was like, okay, these are the story beats that are going to happen through this map. And then they built it, and they did all the lighting cues and stuff like that. And then a year after we shot Principal, we went back, and I had to I brought Sean back. We reshaved his head because we did another scene, and Jamie had to come back. And I was like, dude, I know you crushed that scene the first time, but I screwed up. Like it was I made the terrible choice to do it the way I did it. And so we went and we took that Unreal Engine stuff, and we used it in a volume, and we had the car in there, and he acted with it in front of him. So it was like a real situation. Like he could see what was in front of him, he could see what was beside him, and all that stuff. And so we actually shot it practically, which was incredibly helpful.
Kind of like how they used to do reverse what do they call that? Reverse rear projection. Yeah, where it's like they kind of, so he could kind of see the path that he would be driving. Exactly. That's fascinating. I mean, like that is truly, you watch that scene and it's like, to me, I mean, like there's a few moments I really enjoy. And it's like I'll be upfront. It's like, yeah, I even said it in my review. The monster, you know, it's a limited budget. It doesn't look the best, but you guys did a great job by keeping it in the night vision,
Night vision.
because it does distort it. It gives it that more like tangible sense. But like that scene, like Necro said, or one of our viewers here, was absolutely nightmarish to me in the car. I mean, that is truly, to hear that, like how that came together. And now I love all of that. Like I hope that's in like a featurette on like a Blu-ray, because people
We'll
need
do
to
it for
understand
sure.
how you guys put that together, because it's like
Yeah.
it's truly one of those moments that I think will still sit with me by the end of the year when I'm looking back on this year of horror, of just like scenes that I had to like really wrap my brain around how you accomplished it. It was that impressive. So, and I'm not just saying that, like I do mean it. So
to talk about the monster real quick, and like it's been a weird thing, because that's been like the number one divisive thing, and I would say it's like 80% hate it, like loathe it, and 20% are like, that's cool. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what the hell is going on. But the hard part was, one, we shot it with an actor. Like there is a guy there. It was I have a movie called Z, and it was the guy that played that, Z in that film. And so we had him out, and he's just like basically naked, like wearing underwear, and he's doing the actions with the intention of replacing him later. So they had this like 1-to-1 animation to copy and stuff like that. But the problem is like, when you're doing a film, you do things in stages, and like you have to lock your edit so that you can, you figure out, okay, these are going to be the moments that I can't change it anymore, because the sound mix is going to fall apart. And this whole thing's held together by like toothpicks and glue. So it's like a very precariously held together film. And the VFX on the monster were some of the last pieces I got. And so it's like, I have temp stuff in there, like just like a 3D animation of this thing that looks like crap, and it's just standing in the scenes, and I'm trying to time it with that. And then like I have a hard deadline with Shudder, and so I'm getting these final shots in like June, and it's due in July. And once I get the shot, like changing 3D stuff, impossible. There's so many layers of work. Like there's modeling, sculpting, all that. Then you rig it and you do the animation. And I'd never worked with this stuff before. Like this is the first time I've ever been able to do it, which was fun. But when you get the shot, you can't really do much, and you've already locked the edit, and it's like, okay, I mean, I think it's cool. Like I think it fits and it works or whatever. I think in hindsight, what I should have done was maybe lose the spooky face thing, which was just like, and we're talking like a year and a half before the film is finished. I'm like, this film needs more jump scares. So like, let's add one here. And that was like an add-on later. And then, maybe because there's so much digital distortion being used whenever a character's like, possessed or affected by whatever, I probably in hindsight should have like distorted the creature, and it would, the image, because they're so close to the source, every time they go up to the hole, the footage gets a little worse and stuff like that. But again, like when you're doing indies, like this is just me in this room clicking for years, I'm just like, I think this works. I have no idea, and I have no test screening or anything. So
you become like blind to it. I feel that 100%, because like there's been videos that I've spent like 3 weeks on, and like I hate everything I've done, and then I have to show it to like Luke, or I have to show it to my wife or somebody, and just hear their feedback to understand, no, this is okay, this could use work. It's like it's I completely understand that. And like not to in like the best possible way with the monster, I think as like criticism, like you do feel like that, where it's like you're still experimenting with it, you're still figuring it out. And I think that's why for something like that, I'm able to just be like, I'm with it. Like it's one of those things where I was so into the movie by that point. And people are going to be people. We get it all the time with movies we'll talk about, we'll defend, and they'll be like, no, it looked like shit because the monster looked bad, or this looked crappy, or this what it is. It's like, dude, what do you want? Like, I mean, like think of everything that came before this one moment. And like, that's kind of how I feel about this movie. Cause it's like, we knew after watching it, like, I think we both said right in our pre-conversation before we shot, we were like, the monster's a little rough, but I mean, what else would you complain about? I think like overall, I like the characters. Like there was a movie that Shudder put out called Night Patrol that, we were real excited for it. Honestly, I think the chemistry, and I love the actors in Night Patrol. I think the chemistry in Body Cam was way more natural, and it was way closer to what we were hoping Night Patrol would have been. And that's like really, it was a surreal experience watching those movies so close together, and just being like, this one nailed it with like a fraction of the budget. So it's
Yeah.
very cool.
I mean, I would imagine Justin Long's salary on that film was a lot more than Body Cam's entire budget. So it's like, and it's not even a joke. It's just, you know, it just is. But the other thing, and I'm not complaining. Like, this is awesome. I love doing this shit. But I was I had to finish Reaper on July 1st and deliver Body Cam on July 15th. So I was all of 2025 until July. I was basically like, okay, working for a week on one movie, then switching over to the other movie and just doing it all. And it was awful. But you know, I learned never to do that again. But yeah, it was just like a, you know, crazy fever dream. And so, you know, it just is what it is. I think going forward, though, I would probably try and set up like a digital screening at some point, you know, just for people that don't know anything about it, and do like, you know, I can't afford to rent a theater and have a test screening.
Yeah.
But getting like a bunch of horror people to watch something prior to locking and all that stuff, it might be a good idea to just get like 25 people in a room, or, you know, a stream kind of like this, play the movie, and then just have an open dialogue after and be like, okay, is there anything that doesn't make sense, or anything like things aren't clear, or maybe too clear and they should be vaguer, whatever, you know, and just finding a way. Cause like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm making movies in my basement, and I'm just, you know, we were on a US Weekly list of 5 movies to stream, and it was like Zootopia, Wicked for Good, Body Cam, and then 2 other studio movies. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but this isn't fair at all. Like,
And that's what I love about it's kind of the give and take, I would say a little. We talk about it a lot on this, and I don't want to keep hogging up time, but like I keep referencing things here where it's like we talk about how the landscape of filmmaking has changed so much with streaming, where so many people who I guess are like, you call them old heads, where they've been around for a while, they hate it, they're terrified of it, as to where, like, I think Luke and I, as people who want to make movies, and I sense you feel the same way. It's like, well, this is the cards I'm dealt with. So if I get movies on streaming, that's me getting it. That's me getting an Academy Award is all I'm considered. Like, this is great. Like, people like the fact that you can look at a chart, like you said, and see, here's everything that's competing right now. And it's like, that is insane to think that like it's right there. And it's great. Like, it has its drawbacks, yes, but at the same time, it's like, I think we make this stuff to get it out there. We want to share stories. We want to share ideas. And it's like, that's what matters. So it's like, I think that's something that I think a lot of filmmakers are going to have to just come to terms with eventually. I mean, we're getting really close to theaters just being like a boutique thing. But I also wanted to say, with that digital screening idea, our buddy Scott Chambers reached out to us, and he did that with Peter Pan Neverland Nightmares. There was a small group of us that got screeners for it when it was just an assembly cut. And so we got to see it and send notes and things like that. And they actually did go back and reshoot some stuff. So it was very, very interesting. And so if it's something you're thinking of considering doing, I've experienced it on that side, at least. I think it works. So I definitely say if that's something you think it would be nice to do, because I 100% get it. Like, needing to get your eyes away from it after a while. I get it.
Yeah, because like I've learned on how things work quite a bit now doing this, but like there's this scene in the movie when they're driving to the mom's house, and there's like the line of the homeless tweakers, you know, and they like stop with their car and it's raining and all that shit. Like, we shot that like 8 months after the shoot because I was editing it. I'm like, there's a giant chunk that is boring right now. Like, I need something here that's cooler. And so I was like, this would be cool if like they stopped him and there was like a vague threat or something. And so we wrote that in, and then, you know, we got Sean. That was when we brought Sean back to reshave his head and regrow the mustache and get the cars and get all these people and stuff. And like, when you're doing a production, it's so easy. Like, everything, you can pivot and do all these things, but trying to spin it back up like 8 months later when you have no money is very hard. And so, but like, you know, that's a big scene. It's like one of the most popular scenes from the movie. And it just happened because we had a cut of the film and it was boring in this one spot. So I was like, okay, let's add. So, I think doing that would be sweet. And, you know, I might have to ask about that later. If, you know, I'm ever doing another movie, I have no idea when that's going to happen.
Right. I hope soon, because I really, and not to, because I know we want to get into the news soon, but Luke, Adrian, anybody want to say anything else before I start keeping my wheels turning?
Necro is saying, where's the prop of the fetus now?
Damn it, Adrian. Come on, man.
Oh, from the movie? So it was funny. The day that we shot that, and again, like, our crew was like 6 people. It was like me, the 2 producers, the cinematographer who had nothing to do, so we ran audio, and then a grip, the sound guy. Oh no, he was the sound guy, and then a production designer, and then makeup. And it was just us running around the city doing this thing. But one of the producers does props, like he's worked on The Last of Us, all this stuff.
Oh
And
wow!
he had this bin of babies, and like Keegan Connor Tracy, who plays the mom in the movie, for whatever reason, because I think it's hilarious that she's in this movie. Like, people died in that house for real. You know, like no one had been in that house since they had died.
Oh my God.
And to get a girl that plays the blue fairy and all of these like very girly parts, and just soaking her in blood and paying her absolutely nothing is just so funny to me. But anyways, we're about to shoot the scene, and she's just like, I need a baby to work with. Like, I want to hold something. And it wasn't scripted, but we're like, do we have any babies? And Chris, the producer with the bin of babies, is like, I've got some. And he brings them over, and they're all like Cabbage Patch dolls, like very bad, you know? And she's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Can I swear? Swearing.
Oh yeah,
you're
that's cool.
Oh
She's
yeah,
just
you're
like,
good. Yeah, no, sorry.
okay, cool. But she's like, you know, like, this is ridiculous how, and we found one that was like plastic and kind of shaped like a baby and wasn't like a flappy body. So we just used that. And the funny, and this is another thing, is that when we reshot and we did that scene like 8 months later, I brought Keegan back to reshoot that scene too, because I didn't think it worked. And I was like, the baby shouldn't be there. It should be this other thing, the way I envisioned it originally. But then we redid it. We redid her makeup. We did all the stuff. And then I ended up using the original version anyway, so we didn't have to do that. That was funny.
Damn. I love that. That's great. Like the fact that you got a prop guy with just a bin of babies, just like, and we're just like, yeah, let's just see, like, that's the shit that I love, like, hearing about. You hear about this in all these like In Search of Darkness, like these little behind the scenes stories. Like, that's great. Like, I love stuff
happy
like
accidents, essentially.
Yeah.
Love that.
Absolutely. And I mean, for a truly a harrowing scene too. So it's like to hear all this behind the scenes, and it's like, and how you guys had to structure it, come back to it, and it's like, and it still works. Like, I mean, it's still a very impactful moment. Definitely where everything kind of kicks over. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like, holy shit. Luke, should we hop over into the news a little bit?
Absolutely, we can.
Okay, well, let's get into it, sir. Take us away with the first story.
Alrighty, folks. Well, a couple weeks ago, we already talked about one shark film, and it looks like we have another one on the horizon. Rennie Harlan is giving us another reason to stay out of the water just in time for the summer season. The new trailer for his shark film Deep Water dropped online, as it is set to release on May 1st. Diving back into aquatic horror might be better suited for the Deep Blue Sea director after the disastrous trilogy reboot of The Strangers. Starring Ben Kingsley and Aaron Eckhart as pilots, we see a group of passengers who survived a plane crash try to beat death once again when they find themselves in shark-infested waters. With a lot of modern shark films sinking rather than swimming, could this one be a win? Dylan, let's go to you, because I know you're a little bit biased, but let's hear your thoughts here.
It's going to work. It's going to be great. All right. Every shark movie is going to work. You always got to go in with full optimism. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed. And then now, I will say, not being huge on obviously Strangers, like most of us, I was worried about this one, especially from the teaser, because it was like, why aren't we seeing any sharks? Like we're like, they've been pitching it. It's on the poster. It's everywhere. This trailer had me nervous to click on, but I'm not going to lie. I'll call a spade a spade. The sharks don't look half bad. I'm not going to lie. They look pretty damn good. And if there's anything I can say about Rennie Harlan, is that at one point he made some really kick-ass movies. And I know Luke and I differ on this. Deep Blue Sea will always be one of those kick-ass movies. So I'm actually really excited to see this. I hope that I can see it in a theater, because like I love to go see myself a big stupid shark movie, and a plane crash middle of the ocean. I'm terrified of the water. It's all gonna work, you know. I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I checked out the trailer. I can't even talk, bro. Trailer today, and the imagery looks sick. I like how the first half of it is like, oh, this is about us crashing like the plane and trying to survive that. But then, you know, the lucky ones died in the plane crash. Now they have a shark to worry about. And you kind of see how the fuselage is like slowly sinking in the water. they kind of sort of seem to spoil a character death at the end there, like the old dude, like looking at the photo of his family. You know,
You don't know that. You don't know.
I don't, and that's what's even more gripping about it. So yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. I haven't seen a ton of shark horror movies, like barely any, period. So, you know, I'm definitely down to check this one out. My fiance, you know, last little side note here, she's kind of like seen a little too much of the too fucked up horror movies, for lack of better words. So she's looking for something a bit more lighthearted, and I guess we can call that lighthearted compared to other movies that have been announced.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Brandon, any thoughts on this one, sir?
I mean, it looks fun. I'm like, when saying a disastrous trilogy is so shitty. I mean, just like, because it's funny and it's probably true. I haven't seen them, but it's just funny to have that as like your most recent thing is part of the byline saying it's such a disaster. But no, I mean, the trailer's fun. It just looks like it. I mean, honestly, it kind of has the feeling of like a serious Sharknado vibe. Like the way it's shot doesn't, you know, nothing's practical. It's all digitally added and all that stuff. So it has this certain level of like a veneer on it where there's no reality that I'm watching. And I think that's a problem when you do something like this. Like that's what makes Jaws so effective is the water's real. You know, you're like on the boat, you're in the middle of nowhere. And you know, they suffered to make that film. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's probably a very polished looking film. Rennie's done some good work in the past, but like you compare it to Deep Blue Sea and it just doesn't feel like the same caliber of a film at all. And that's a bummer because Deep Blue Sea was great. I think that it holds up and, you know, it has a great rap song at the end and that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll see this again. I'm married with 3 kids. Like I've got tickets to the Mario movie on Wednesday morning. So
gang, we're going.
Yeah. So I don't know. It looks fine. It looks fun. That's cool. You know, I'm around for a good time. When the plane accident is so heavily featured and it's like, this is just the beginning. That's cool. That means the movie's moving.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think like one of the things that I can say is like, we were definitely big supporters. I've interviewed Rennie Harlan, especially. That was a very interesting time, I'll tell you, as being like somebody who, you know, obviously gets it, doesn't want to be that, but is also just like really didn't care for their movie. But to like just be upfront and honest, like, dude was super cool, super clean. And afterwards, I actually talked to him about this because I was like, I love Deep Blue Sea. It was playing in my house. It was like my second favorite shark film for years and years, because obviously Jaws. But it was one of those things to me where it's like getting to talk to him about this. You could see like the difference in the interview for Strangers, where it's like, you know, he was saying nice things. He definitely had it, but I just felt the energy change. Where this one, he was just like, ooh, I can't wait to talk about this. It was either maybe just because that was back in July. So it was like there was no trailer out. There was nothing. Yeah. So it was still very, very hush hush. But he did say some pretty cool stuff. And I was hoping, like you said, with him being somebody who had done Deep Blue Sea, and the biggest compliment I can always give that movie, other than just being a lot of fun, is those practical sharks are goddamn incredible still today. Like when you see oh my god, it's not Aaron Eckhart, Thomas Jane wrestling with that tiger shark at the beginning, like that's all practical. That makes me giggle and grin from ear to ear every time I watch it. But like, yeah, I just hope that it's as fun as that. I know, like, I agree with you, Brandon, where they're teeing up some kind of serious tone to it. I think there's some inklings of the fun. I just hope that once we actually do get into the sharks, it is just a lot of like, we're moving, we're trying to get this, like everything's sinking, and we can just have a good time with it. Cause like, yeah, I think the thing that really sucks about The Strangers is like, it's just a trilogy that took itself like it was already a serious topic, like a serious kind of film, but this one just like, it was really trying to take it way too seriously, and it just didn't have an identity, as to where this one, to me at least, looks like it knows exactly what it wants to be. So
yeah, makes sense.
And I'm a little bit of a harder sell when it comes to shark films, honestly. But I think Brandon used the word polished, and I think I was really surprised on how polished this thing did look from its trailer. It looks like it has some care to it, which I not necessarily wasn't expecting, but especially the way that it's presented here with Aaron Eckhart and Ben Kingsley. I'm certainly intrigued to see what the story is going to be, especially with those two characters and how that's going to kind of play into, the whole shark aspect to it. And Dylan and I were talking earlier about a film that's going to be dropping tomorrow on the channel, The Yeti, and how so many films in that subgenre fall victim to an overabundance of CGI that just doesn't work and kind of takes you out of the film. And I think, sharks have fallen into that. And I think a couple weeks ago we talked about Thrash, which looks pretty decent, and I think this one is right up there as well. So it's going to be an interesting time in terms of getting shark films over this in the next few months of don't seem, at least from the trailers, offensively bad, because like I said, I'm a real hard sell when it comes to a lot of shark films, but at least these two have my attention. So I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to present here, because it doesn't look bad, and I'm always on the negative side of things when it comes to those.
I will say I have beaten Luke into submission by making him watch too many bad shark movies, and Adrian is always going to be my ride or die homie and have my back. So Brandon may be the only honest criticism you've gotten on this movie out of this conversation, because it does feel a little like I don't know. It's one of those where it's like I can't really be that like reliable, and I have to admit that to myself, because there are so many like D and C tier shark movies that I just love, and I have to be, it's just like they're just so much fun to me, and it's like I have different kinds and stuff, so it's like when I see something that looks like it's even like somewhat going to be something that's going to be on a big screen, it has a tendency to grab my attention. I think it's just something that like maybe because shark movies are so often winding up on sci-fi and stuff, it's like maybe when there is a chance, I run with it. So
I think it's a good thing. Don't lose that, because when you get jaded about everything, like I'm pretty jaded now. It's fun to still have that like youthful excitement about things like that, even if going in it's not going to be great. Like that's very cool, because you're just it's like imagination's going wild. You're just able to have fun. I think that's a cool thing. Like that's why Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie was so good. I was like, I felt like a little kid watching like my childhood imagination come to life. I was like, what is this?
Comparing that to Borat too is just like, it is. I really think it's going to be the Borat of this generation in a sense, because like it is such a wild movie, and I had been really excited for it. Do you know Your Movie Sucks on YouTube here? He's a huge YouTuber.
I think I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff, but like he was really hyping that up for a couple of years. He saw it at a film festival like ages before it got picked up by Neon. I'm talking like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he had been talking about it back then. So to finally see it, it was like, I'm so happy that this is just a pure movie. It doesn't feel like anything else, and that's like, you need those if you're going to do something like in comedy nowadays, I think, and something that's going to stick with people and take risks. It's kind of like I think why a lot of people like things like Eric Andre and
it's the same vibe.
I Think You Should Leave and stuff like that, where it's just they're just doing weird shit, and it's great, and it's sometimes it's super deep too, and it's like, damn, love it. But yeah, I definitely think Deepwater might be pretty good. I'm gonna hold out hope for it. We'll see. But Luke, unless there's anything else anybody wants to say about it, I think we can move on to our next topic.
The title's not great.
Yeah, the title is trash. The title,
like Deep Blue Sea. They're like, what else? Synonyms for blue sea? Water.
And Gracie did mention Dangerous Animals. I just want to bring that up again, because it was like, what a happy treat that was. I totally forgot when I was talking about, Thrash coming out in Deepwater, where Dangerous Animals was a nice little gem of a shark film with a different kind of spin. So it's like, when we look at the subgenre in general, and they're just, you can boil it down to just a shark film, where it's like, you can really see the diversity in storytelling with like something like Dangerous Animals, where it's like, hey, you can add the little
like Wolf Creek.
Yes.
With
on the water. With
Jai Courtney.
In a Speedo, which was fantastic. But it's you know, to be able to intertwine the subgenres, you can kind of see what you can really do with storytelling and kind of take it down a completely different avenue than what we were expecting with just a basic shark film.
Yeah, I'm definitely optimistic, and I think that there's going to be a couple more good ones. I don't know if anything will get as good as Dangerous Animals, which if you have not seen that one yet, Brandon, I know Adrian, that's on your watch list still, right?
Yeah, I'm very green on shark movies, period.
Understood.
So still haven't seen that.
But if you have not seen Sean Burns' Dangerous Animals from last year, that's a very good movie. That's a very different kind of shark movie.
Yeah, it came around out like the same time Reaper came out, and I think it was like the week before, and I was so busy with that release stuff that just totally missed it. But I have Shudder now, so I can go watch it.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, if you're familiar with Sean Byrne at all, his stuff like he did Hard Candy, or not Hard Candy,
great.
Devil's Candy,
Okay.
and oh god, The Loved Ones.
Yep.
That one.
Oh, Loved Ones was great. So he's Australian. It's Australian then.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's well worth your time. If you like The Loved Ones, it's another hit in my opinion.
Cool.
All right, Luke, why don't you take us away there, sir?
All right, let's hop into this next story. From sharks to dinosaurs, it looks like horror fans are getting every box checked in 2026. The new film from It Follows director David Robert Mitchell tackles very different subject matter after a cosmic event transports a neighborhood to somewhere unknown. The new film, titled The End of Oak Street, dropped a teaser as it boasts a strong cast anchored by Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor. While mysterious in its overall premise, the vibe has a very big cinematic caliber, making this feel like a big summer release. Can this be a big tentpole release for the summer of 2026, or will this one be chewed up and spit out amongst other releases?
I don't know, man. It's got hell of a cast. It's like a near all-star cast. I mean, besides those two, right? And you know, the mystery really gripped me with that trailer that I saw, and then like we had the dinosaur pass by the windows. That was something I did not expect. You know, Dylan loves Jurassic Park. I've seen a ton of Jurassic Park because of him, and you know, I'm not like actually I loved dinosaurs when I was a kid, but I'm not too like, you know, into them now. I wonder how it's going to shape out on the big screen there. That's all I've got to say about it.
Oh, Dylan, Dylan's having some audio issues there.
My bad, I
thought
forgot.
My headphones crapped out.
He likes to mime sometimes.
No, I was just saying, hell yeah. Definitely starting to really see the trend here of why I bully you guys and talking about so many monster and creature movies on the show. No, this one is very weird because like I had no clue this was coming, and like we've been really like keeping up on They Follow and stuff like that, and then to like see dude just has a weird dinosaur sci-fi horror mystery movie coming out. Like I'm all for this. I was down when I heard the concept. Brandon, how are you feeling about this one? Are you an It Follows fan?
Dude, am I an It
Fuck
Follows
yeah.
fan?
There we go.
Hell yeah.
I've got the box set. No, yeah, huge It
Fire.
Follows fan. Soundtrack, you know, a disaster piece, incredible. I don't know if he's working on this one. Probably not. It's a different thing. But I think it looks awesome. Like one, I haven't seen from producer J.J. Abrams attached to like a mystery box type of movie in a long time. And there's like this nostalgic quality to that, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like back to Super 8, the Cloverfields, all those when he was kind of dominating. And he was like the biggest producer in Hollywood. I miss that. I do like the way when there's like clever marketing and you don't know what the hell you're going into. I think that's really cool. My only fear is David Robert Mitchell could be the next Richard Kelly. I don't know. Like where he does one super banger movie. Cause like Under the Silver Lake, sorry. I thought it looked like the trailers were awesome. Cast is great, whatever. But I watched it fairly recently and I did not care for it at all. And I really wanted to like it, you know? And so, I don't know. That was like maybe his Southland Tales. I don't know. This does kind of feel like The Box to me a little bit. And so I'm like mapping his career to that. I don't know. I guess S. Darko's next with They Follow, but
Oh no.
But he didn't direct that. But I don't know. I think he's like an amazing director. That opening shot that kind of dollies down the hallway and stuff. It's just so cinematic. And the way he does stuff, like it's using anamorphics, it's got such a cool aesthetic. I just hope the script's cool, you know, because
Yeah.
I think direction wise it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to look great. I think JJ is going to help lead the audience to wherever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm rooting for it. I think it looks rad. I hope it's great because I think when he hits, it's so good. Like It Follows is a personal favorite, and I'd love to have another one like that.
Truly, absolutely. Luke, how are you feeling about this one?
You know, I wasn't expecting anything like this, but Dylan and I had talked about when we were going to see Ready or Not 2, and we got into a discussion about Disclosure Day, and
Yeah.
and you asked if I was intrigued by that one. I was like, I'm actually kind of excited by it because I don't know if it's living in the horror space where we're finding all these smaller releases. We have some big releases in the theater and things like that, but Disclosure Day, and I'm going to put The End of Oak Street right up there because that's what I got the vibe from the trailer here, where it's like it feels like a very big, not necessarily horror film, but it feels like horror adjacent, depending on how deep rooted we get into the horror text of it. But it feels like one of those big films. And I don't know if that was like, we went and saw the newest Jurassic Park in the theater when that had come out. And I don't know if that like sparked some sort of hunger in me because I have this appetite for these. I love the smaller stuff. We get so much of it and it's all great, but I don't think we get these big, very tentpole films in the theater that often anymore. And I'll say like with Disclosure Day and then following it up with something like The End of Oak Street, I'm really excited about this one. Just to be able to go to the theater to go see it in one of those big theaters with the great sound, all that stuff. Just really lose yourself in it because I think that's what the vibe is here. I love that it's a bigger cast. I can really just see myself going back and be like, even if this isn't one of the best horror films, or I can justify it in terms of when we do our best of the year, I think this will be a memorable go to the theater, just real experience to be like, that was one of the funnest experiences I had in the theater of 2026.
I just think it's not safe. It's not like a safe movie. It looks like he's taking swings, and that I appreciate, and I'm excited for.
I have to agree with you about Under the Silver Lake. I had a very odd experience with that one because like I wanted to see that in theaters. I thought it looked great. Never played anywhere near us, like in an accessible manner. And I ended up buying it from Amazon, and I had it wrapped on my shelf for years because like I wanted to, but it was just like, I think for me, I was, for some reason, I don't know why, I just felt like maybe it was because I was working all the time, but it was like I just got to be a bitch about like run times, and that movie's like 2.5 hours.
That's why I didn't watch it.
And it's very divisive. So it's like, okay, do I want to commit to it? And I'm like, man, I bought it. I have to at least do it eventually. And I was very much the same way. I will admit, I still have to probably rewatch the last 30 minutes because I was just like so checked out, and I ended up like falling asleep by the end because like it's just one of those where it's like it wasn't awful. Like visually, it's still great. Like he's got an eye for sure, but like it's just kind of it felt like a movie that it's like when you have a really like strong first couple ideas. And you don't know how to really bring it all home. It's like one you might have to sit with for a while, and that it sucks. But I do hope you are incorrect when it comes to the Richard Kelly, because like I'd really like for this to be cool. Now the piece I want to get to that I got to ask all of you, because I know at least Luke and Adrian, it sounds like you two, Brandon, are fans of J.J. Abrams, the Cloverfield stuff. I know we had this with 10 Cloverfield Lane. That was a big surprise. That was cool. Paradox, not so great, but it was cool that it got announced when it did. I know everybody wanted what was that movie? Overlord. Thought that was going to be Cloverfield related. What camp do we think this falls in? Is this going to turn out to be a secret Cloverfield movie, or is this going to be just another Overlord situation where everybody's going to think so? And then by the end of it, when the big monster doesn't show up or it doesn't have any tie at all, everybody's going to be like, okay, whatever. So where do you guys sit? Luke, I'll have you go first.
I don't think it's the secret Cloverfield film. I think, maybe some remarks were made when that trailer had hit, and then people start kind of jump on and start maybe connecting dots that don't necessarily exist, but they're like, I'm going to make it exist. So I think this is probably just going to be a standalone thing. So I think if you're expecting a secret Cloverfield film, I think you might be a little bit disappointed.
I'm kind of with Luke there. It's looking like it's going to be its own type of thing. For a second, I was like kind of humoring it. I was like, well, in Paradox, we have the two dimensions that splice together. But I'm like, wait a minute, time travel has nothing to do with that. So yeah, I don't think so about the Cloverfield. But yeah, I would really love to see another Cloverfield. Hopefully we get one.
Eventually, yeah.
I think
How are you
Paradox
feeling?
killed that franchise. I think it showed that there's not as much interest for just the name brand. It was the gimmick, the found footage monster gimmick was so big, and then Cloverfield Lane. I mean, it was kind of shoehorned into it, but it was cool,
Yeah.
and it worked. But I don't know. I don't think there's so many giant monster movies that are just as impactful, and Godzilla and Kong, they're doing great now, and all that stuff. So I don't think so.
Yeah. As much fun as I think it would be, because I think the thing about like Cloverfield is I always feel like after Lane being such a surprise and actually being a very strong, just contained thriller, I feel like anytime they try to go big with this now, it's almost like your eyes are bigger than your stomach when it comes to this property, because like I just feel like I don't know what they do with it. Like he said Paradox kind of killed it. I feel like it kind of showed some of the cracks when you're trying to get people on board with this when it's not so interconnected. My only pushback on that mentally that I can kind of push forward here is just saying, like, because at the time that Paradox came out, we were in such a heavy MCU. Everybody wanted direct connection to everything. It all had to line up. I wonder if maybe the tolerance for that has kind of come down a bit. We've seen people are kind of more or less coming back around to not everything has to lead into everything, so we don't have to watch 20 movies into each other. So maybe that could give it, but where I sit on the whole, I think that it does shock me if David Robert Mitchum or whatever, he came in and just was turned this movie into a Cloverfield movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know. Like, it just, if it would feel weird to me that like him with his reputation and how he is with his movies, that he would let J.J. Abrams come in and do that. So I don't know. It could have been from the start, but
that is interesting.
Yeah, and I also do love what you said there, because that is true. I think Luke was hitting on it with like Spielberg having a big alien movie coming back, but having J.J. Abrams in the producing chair again, not being associated with Star Wars, just coming in, bringing people forward with interesting stories, mystery boxes. I do miss that, because Super 8 I think is super underrated. I think more people should give that one a watch, and yeah, I do love some of the Cloverfield stuff. So,
well, now I want this to be a Cloverfield movie. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm on board. Let's do this. Yeah, that's cool. Because why would David Robert Mitchell go to J.J. Abrams and pitch something? It's almost like he was pitching something to the studios, and JJ's like, I'll produce if we make it a Cloverfield movie. It's a Cloverfield movie. Period. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm with you now. For sure.
Was Paradox, I can't remember, when Paradox had come out, did that start as a Cloverfield film, or was that another one that they kind of altered? Okay.
I don't remember.
Because that was, where 10 Cloverfield Lane had such a contained story where it's like, it's you get the tidbits of the lore in it, and then you don't really see it, how it ties in until the very end of that film. And I think that's why that film works, is the story itself doesn't necessarily need to be attached to Cloverfield universe. But then Paradox, it felt like they were trying to jump from one point to the next and make it fit into the universe, and that's where it's like, I think maybe the cracks had shown where it was like, well, maybe we just can't do that with the Cloverfield lore. We maybe have to have an actual direct kind of creation from the ground up and say, this is the story. Do you guys think that is more so the take with Cloverfield now, where it's like we can't really just take random properties and try to shoehorn in that lore, where it's like it has to be, hey, we're making a Cloverfield film, what's that context going to be within the lore, rather than, hey, let's just sprinkle that in there and it's going to fit.
I mean, I guess I'll just say I've never really seen Cloverfield really just kind of go straight into like, let's fight the monster. I'm ready for a Cloverfield action movie, baby.
You want
Bring
to
it to me.
Full-blown sequel follow up to the first one, but in first like actual movie format instead of being found footage?
Yeah, or I want to go see what's her name from Cloverfield Lane go and join the effort. She like tunes into the radio at the end, and it's like, oh, like come to this city, we're gonna fight back and stuff. I'd love to see something like that.
I like it. I like it. Brandon, how are you feeling?
I don't know. I'm still excited by this definitely being a Cloverfield movie.
We've already.
I think I don't know. I'm like, are we nostalgic for Cloverfield yet? Like, are we able to? Is it like time already to be like, let's reboot this thing that died 6 years or well, I guess 8 years ago? I have no idea. I this just kind of came out of nowhere. But the J.J. Abrams thing is very weird because he's been gone since Star Wars. Like he hasn't done any. I know he's directing a movie right now, but
yeah. What is that, by the way? Wasn't that I thought that was something way different than like what he's been doing? So
as far as it's probably a Cloverfield movie, I have no idea. It's like yeah, it's a romantic comedy with spies, but it's Cloverfield. I think it's all just. Are we in a Cloverfield movie right now?
That's what we're doing. Yeah, this has been a setup this whole time.
We very well could be.
Yeah. I think all in all, like at this point, if you're going to do it, if you really want to do it right, I think you do need to have some deliberate push behind it. You can't just keep finding weird movies and slapping that on there. You will have to get deliberate with it if you want to really build it, but who knows? They could keep going with it, and it could just be one of those, like you said, or just every once in a while we'll get one and then it'll disappear and come back, and maybe that's what it is. But I think all in all, more dinosaur stuff, please, because like I think we need to get more stuff than just Jurassic Park. I love the Jurassic Park movies. They're fun, but even I am ready to see more interesting dinosaur shit. Like I thought Primal War was a lot of fun. It was way more fun and actually way more watchable than I anticipated, just from the onslaught of just like how big that movie felt when you look at that trailer and then you watch it and you're like, this is actually working quite well.
Is that getting a sequel?
Yes. Yeah, okay. They are going to do that. And I enjoyed that. And then the one that really rips me up was I was really excited for 65. I thought that was going to be a really big hit, and the one with Adam Driver from a few years ago, if everybody forgot about that one.
That was a big director.
That was the guys who did Heretic.
Oh yeah.
And
Back in Woods.
Yes, right. They and that was what a crazy follow-up from 65 too, like a complete different animal. But that was one of those ones where I heard recently that I guess the original script had Adam Driver as like he was like addicted to some like space drug or whatever, a futuristic drug that he was on, and it was his fault that they crashed because he got high and like wasn't paying attention or did something. And I was like, that's a really interesting like way, because my biggest issue with that movie, I just felt like the characters were very hollow, and I'm like, if that would have been something that he had to like fight with the whole movie, like I caused this, that would have been crazy. That would have been great. I love stuff like that, but I just felt like, why would you take that out? Like that just felt really different, unique, and cool. So I don't know. We'll get good dinosaur movies eventually, and hopefully August 14th will be one of them. So
just real quick, what I would like to see is someone take stop motion animation and do a dinosaur movie like that, like how Phil Tippett wanted to do it with Jurassic Park. Because like everything's CG now and it's fine, but it's kind of boring. It'd be kind of fun to just see the going back to like old techniques, but done with new technology and being able to, it'd be different, but it'd be cool. And it's just, there's just this art to that. And it would be fun to see it used in a dinosaur movie. Because how many, stop motion animation dinosaur movies are there? There's so many. It'd be cool to see how that technology has evolved.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with stop motion a couple years ago, had little segments, and then obviously they had Phil Tippett himself. What was Mad God? Was just like, that's such a unique movie, and I know it took everything to make something like that, but you're right, to see like a really because what is it? Is it In the Valley of the Giants? Is that one with the cowboys and the dinosaurs, or is that a fake movie from another movie?
Cloverfield movie?
Oh my God. I'm going to literally. All right. That's it, guys. Brandon's going back. We're done. He's not allowed on. Body cam was great. Can you please leave us alone about Cloverfield? No, it's I think that was the name of it, but it was one of those things where I agree. I think that would be really, really cool. And I feel like because we have the luxury of being able to do so much with computers. It's like we should be looking back at some of those old techniques and trying to pull stuff into it. I mean, you see people doing that with like in the last VHS movie with Fun Sized, and just how they're kind of pulling into those weird effects with like having him almost like rotoscoped in at certain points and looking like an old television character. And I like stuff like that. And I think we should do more, like take more advantage of it. So it is a lost art in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, stop motion really hit for me, and it was something I didn't know I needed. And then it's like just to intertwine that in with horror, stop motion. I understand why we don't see it that often because it is such a hard process to do, but it is so memorable and it adds an eeriness to it that is unmatched when you get into the horror realm, because those segments in stop motion, when it's utilized, are the most memorable. It's like anytime I see anyone talking about stop motion on YouTube, the thumbnail is always, you know, some of those horrific looking imagery of those stop motion characters there. And it's like, it's truly haunting, some of the things they're able to pull off. It's just such a craft. And again, I get why we don't see it, but it's so memorable. I would love to see way more than what we get.
I think like Leica is like the only real studio that still does like full blown stop motion stuff, like actively. That's not an independent production really. And still they are kind of, because they do their own in-house stuff. So it's one of those things I would love to see, like something like that. And it doesn't even have to be like one of the ideas I had recently, like I rewatched Army of Darkness. Because I was on a Sam Raimi kick after Send Help, and I was like, man, I'd love to see like Christopher Nolan do practical skeletons like this in the Odyssey or something like that.
Great.
I'd love to see him do, because like, you know, he's already like, I'm pumped to see that Cyclops. I mean, I saw the little IMAX promo thing, so I saw the little bit of it, but I'm like, dude, like he's somebody who would absolutely fucking kill it if they were doing stop motion. You know, he'd bring on the best people, he'd have people doing it, and they would get free reign to just go and do the process like how you're supposed to. That's one of those things that like I agree. It's, and maybe that's something we'll see more of, because as we get more advanced with shit, I mean, obviously everybody's thinking that they're making movies now with AI. So that's that. I watched a whole thing about that where someone was like trying to crowdfund their whole movie with like saying, we're going to just produce it with Chat GPT and all Sora and all this other stuff. And it's just like, I don't know about that guy. I think more people are going to be hungry for older techniques. I think.
For sure.
Hell yeah. Well, why don't we move on to the next story there, Luke, as we're winding down into the final few moments of the show here.
Absolutely. Well, is it real or is it fake? The iconic horror release from the 70s, Faces of Death, gets a fresh coat of meta paint as the remake is set for an April 10th release. Euphoria star Barbie Ferreira is a content moderator who discovers what appears to be reenactments of murders from the original fake documentary. It looks like Shudder and IFC are updating those disturbing hashtags to give horror fans a new spin on this iconic property. After the second trailer drop, fellas, are you going to be supporting the trend? How are we feeling about this one? Here we go.
Dylan, you're muted again.
Sorry, I'm just not used to doing that.
That's his gimmick, Brandon, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
All right, you guys talk first then. I don't give a shit. I'm done.
I think it looks great.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for this. I think it's so interesting to kind of go meta with it and bring into the world of actually Faces of Death, where you see the actual cover of the property and everything like that. The Gray Montgomery, I think, is going to knock it out of the park from what we see from his character here. And it just really gives a different spin. I mean, like, for us on the channel personally, looking at like disturbing content and serial killer things and the appetite there is for that, and then kind of leaning into that here with being a content moderator and seeing that on YouTube, I think it kind of resonates and brings things into a modern era where we don't see this that often. Usually if we're seeing a reboot, remake, it's kind of very similar to what was in the past, but I love that they're incorporating some sort of lore here and going the meta spin, because honestly, I was not expecting that when I had heard that we were getting Faces of Death again. I didn't know how they were going to do it, but I really do like how they're approaching this one.
Yeah, it looks super mysterious. I've always wondered, kind of like, I've always heard that there's content moderators, they sift through, they try to, protect our eyes, for lack of better terms. Seeing kind of like what that would look like in that worst case scenario of, you could look into something a little too much and, they notice and they come after you. That seems to be kind of like some of the storytelling I gathered from the trailer. I'm very interested. This is definitely one that I want to check out. It's kind of funny. I was talking about how my girl's not really messing around with some of those deeper cuts. And Ken mentioned that here. After I see the shark one, going to take her to see Faces of Death. That's one she watched the trailer with me. She's like, yeah, I'm good on that one. I'm stoked though. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I'm ready to see kind of what they want to do with this, as far as like kind of taking that new Nightmare meta approach. It feels, I've always thought that was really great how they executed that for Nightmare on Elm Street, and I do want to see more movies do it. I know you mentioned Scream 7 at the top here. I was hoping at one point, I'm like, hey, fuck it, if we're bringing everybody back, let's do it. Let's do New Nightmare but with Scream. It's like, it'll be fun. And they didn't do it, but you know what? It's fine. We got Faces of Death now, and they're going to do it. And I actually think this looks pretty cool. So I didn't know how I felt about it at all when it first got announced. Because again, knowing just after doing all the research for the Disturbing videos and stuff, and just knowing what Faces of Death is, I don't even know how I'm going to tackle that when it comes to that eventually down the road. Because it's like, it is one of those where it is just random scenes kind of stitched together, and it just kind of goes through a very, like, I guess, like vague documentary-esque kind of style. It's like I've only seen bits and pieces of it, because it's such an enigma to me personally, and I'm excited for this though. I think this looks like it could be a lot of fun and a really cool way to bring back a franchise.
Yeah,
and I think if I remember correctly, like Faces of Death, it's kind of like, isn't it almost half-seas? Half of it is like taken from actual real footage, and half of it's fake. They kind of intertwined it. Where they kind of just wanted to make you keep guessing. That's been such a talking point for ages now, and I like that when you look at something like the actual Faces of Death that came out in 1978 or whatever, where it's like that's been such a talking point. And what do you do to really revamp this other than just make another one like that? And I don't think it would have the same effect nowadays, especially when you can just hop on X or whatever, and just there's an abundance of actual gore film or videos and things like that, where you kind of just take this and you're kind of having that approach with the actual characters from a more cinematic perspective, where it's like she's seeing this happen and not sure if it's real or if it's fake, and kind of going on her own journey to try and solve what's exactly going on here. And again, DeCray Montgomery, everyone knows him as Billy from Stranger Things, but it's like I think this could be something that people are gonna be like, okay, man, this guy is someone to really watch. And I mean, Stranger Things he was great in, but it's like this is such a completely different vibe.
I've never heard his name said before, so it's interesting to hear. DeCray. I always thought it was like Docra or something. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's definitely been a point of contention when covering, especially season 4. I think when we first started the channel, we were trying to get that right in our big review, because he has a couple of little pop-up moments in that one. But I am excited, because I know he said he took a break after Stranger Things for a while and stepped away from acting. So I'm very curious to see him start popping back up in a few things, because he was one of those that like he felt like he was gonna really take off after Stranger Things and really start popping up in a ton of stuff, because he just really carried himself in that presence. Like I'm excited for it. But I think this looks exciting, and as again, a very interesting way to take it. We talk about how there's franchises, movies, from the 80s, 90s that just had good ideas but never really seemed to work for like a broader audience. I think that this is another franchise that's certainly, I'm happy they're taking that approach, where they're like, we're going to look at it, we're going to take a different like thing here, and we're just going to run with it. And I hope it all pans out. It would be great if this could be like another kind of, I don't know if you'd consider this a slasher or what you'd consider this, but like
Seems
going
like
forward, it seems like that's what they're going to be heading towards. But I would like to have another fun slasher franchise to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And I know that one's probably about it. I think for the trailer it looks good, but yeah, it's like we're so close to that one coming out that I don't know if there's really much else I have to say about it. Luke, any other final thoughts for Faces of Death?
Yeah, I think it looks great. I think, especially the way that they're taking this, if you wanted to, try to get another volume or just a Faces of Death 2, whatever you want to call it, out of here, I think the approach that they're taking looks like we could have actually longevity to turn this into a franchise, which is just interesting because when you look at, I don't know how many volumes there are of Faces of Death. I think maybe there are at least 3, if I remember correctly, but it's like just to be like, I guess this is a reboot. I don't even know what you want to call it, but it's like very rarely, or I don't even think ever, we have something where it's like a continuation of a franchise that we go meta with and incorporate those films in here. It's just really an interesting way to approach this type of property that's been established since the late 70s and kind of just completely revamp it.
Hell yeah. Well, I think we should probably move on to the final story here because I actually have quite a bit to say about this one because this is not necessarily a horror, but certainly something that Luke and I have talked about quite a bit as far as just a subgenre of films.
Perfect. Let's hit it. Bloodbaths and bruised fists have been welcomed with open arms by horror fans as we've seen an increase in the overly gory action flicks that offer some disturbing twists. Lionsgate releases The Furious on May 29th as 2 men set out on a path of revenge, one trying to find his daughter, the other trying to find his wife. Leaving a blood-soaked trail as the unlikely duo fight against the kidnappers, it looks like the deck is stacked against our heroes, reminiscent of films like Oldboy and The Raid. Boasting some intense action and gore from the trailer, could this one be in the conversation to stand with those famous films?
That's exactly what was going through my head when I saw the trailer. I was like, dude, this is exactly like, it's like The Raid, it's like Oldboy, and it's also kind of like Taken in the way that the plot is being pitched with the trailer as well. We were joking about that a little bit. But anyway, yeah, it looks super sick. I see the Raid influence in the camera work. How, you're seeing one character like reel something back and hit the other character with it. And the camera movements are just, it's like they choreograph these fighting scenes in these like long sequences, and that looks super impressive. I haven't really seen much like it since I was watching the Raid movies when Dylan put me onto those when we were in high school. And yeah, I'm very excited for this one, dude. I like that kind of gritty vibe that we got with the alley scene, with all like just so much dirt everywhere, so much grime. It just looks like everybody's in pain. And it's like, we got some neon soaked scenes as well. So yeah, I'll be in one of the movie theater seats. I was excited to talk about all these films honestly today because they all look super dope. That's what I got to say about that.
Hell yeah. Brandon, are you a fan of Oldboy, The Raid, any of those? Have you experienced a lot of Indonesian cinema?
Oldboy I enjoyed. I used to like watch all the old like the kung fu movies with like Sammo Hung and all the old Jackie Chan stuff, like Drunken Master stuff. I never really got into this new wave of like hyper violent stuff like Gareth Edwards when he or was it Gareth Edwards or is it
Evans? Yeah, Evans and Edwards. Yeah, they're making movies at the same time. It's like, I get it.
But yeah, he did The Raid, and I've got this weird phobia about broken bones. And so like I can watch someone die online, like literally die in a horrible way from a cartel, fine. But like if I see a kid break his arm or something, a knee, skateboarding or something, I'm done. Like for example, this is way off topic, but the movie Irreversible, there's
God.
Everybody goes to the one scene in the tunnel as the horrifying scene, but I'm like, dude, it's when he breaks that guy's arm at the party. That's the scene that kept me up at night. So I've always been a little bit cautious about turning these movies on, but I watched the trailer and of course there's a broken leg in it, but I was like, what I didn't what I didn't love, I thought it looked cool. The cinematography looks great, but all the blood is digital and all the gore is digital. And I'm like, oh man, that's such a bummer because again, it's like the water thing with the
Deep water
sea versus deep waters. When it's not really there, it just loses some of the impact. So I think it looks great. The choreography looks insane. I don't know if I'll see it, but it looks rad. Like it's very cool looking film. It looks like it's going to be just like wall to wall action, which is rad. And yeah, a lot of broken bones, I'm assuming.
A lot of broken bones. Like the dude's like climbing a tower of dudes that are just trying to grab him, and he's just like breaking all their ribs with the hammer. It's like, hey, dude.
Super cool.
And I did kind of notice a couple of the blood splatters in the trailer were noticeably, added in post production. So, oh well, whatever. But yeah, I did notice that a little bit.
I really was gonna say that's my only thing with this one as far as like that I felt didn't live up so far.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I do have to kind of say, maybe if it's any credence to it, maybe they're just hiding some of the gore and the violence, because I know these movies can get pretty fucking crazy. Like if you look at another one, The Night Comes for Us, same actor who's in this one, is in that, and that's a movie again just right up there with The Raid and everything, as far as just like they get really freaking brutal. And I do hope that they go a little bit more practical as we get into the meat of the movie. But yeah, it is always a bummer. I know one movie that kind of was very disappointing that they did a lot of that was and it was from Gareth Evans, actually, of all people. Was it Havoc with Tom Hardy? This earlier this year. He hasn't done a movie in a while, and then this one comes out, just kind of quietly dropped on Netflix. The movie's like plot wise wasn't terrible, but like they go from having some really good kills, some really good action scenes, to then just cheaping out in a couple of really key spots that you could kind of tell. I think they were a little rushed in some spots, and they weren't in others, because it just felt like there were different levels of the like choreography and everything going into it. So it was very weird to see that, but I'm hoping that this is really cool. I love the revenge angle here. Like this is definitely from a very weird perspective to have these two like not opposing, but these two people going through a very similar situation but in very different stakes. And it's like I like that a lot. I think that's going to hopefully be where the meat of this movie kicks in for me, and where hopefully a lot of the interest builds, because yeah, if it's just a lot of CGI blood, it's only going to keep my interest for so long.
I do think that the reason that they would do it, I mean, it's possible that they're trying to like mask something for, I doubt it, because it's a red band trailer. You can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that when you're choreographing something that insane, to add blood to it as like a practical element would be so complicated. And, movies, like you're not doing movies over 9 months and shooting like they did like Jaws, for example. Like they can keep, iterating and stuff like that. They probably shot in like 30 days or something like that. So they can't, if they are going to, you have to kind of pick and choose your battles. So I can understand why they would do that. And potentially too, it was done after the fact where they're like, we need a little bit more impact on this sledgehammer hitting that guy in the side of the head. Like we need to throw something there. So I don't know. I kind of shit on it for a second there, but I don't think that's totally fair, because it's just like the reality of the industry right now. There is no, except for Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, there's no like movies that are just constantly evolving as they're being made, because you have investors that need to make their money back. You have all this stuff that has to happen. And it's a totally different side of the industry that I really doubt this movie is like, financed from the studio. They probably picked it up after the fact. So, it is what it is. It looks sick. Like, I think it looks super rad. I haven't seen a movie like that in a long time. And yeah, there's probably a lot of broken bones in it, so I probably won't.
Oh yeah, I would say if that's a phobia,
yeah,
the movies we just discussed are certainly ones I would say go in with a lot of caution, because you get some pretty rad bone breaks and things, especially in The Raid 2. They get.
I watched part of Ong Bak, and I was like, oh, right away.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Turn off.
Oh, the one that gets me is in The Raid 1, where he's like fighting the guy, takes a knife, and then he like stabs him in the upper thigh, and then just like pulls it all the way down his to his lower thigh, or even his like calf or whatever. I don't know, but dude, it just looks so real, and I was like, oh, I was cringing. Cool. It was good, dude.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you do look at. I will always go back and say like some of those movies, like when you look at things like Old Boy or even The Raid and The Raid 2, like they're just so, you can tell they set out to do a movie that was, everything relies on our choreography and the fact that these people have trained for this. Like these aren't like just actors, they are performers. They do this for like a daily thing of like performing this art of martial arts. And that's where I think the beauty of these, the pure beauty of these kinds of action movies shines. Because like you look at something like John Wick, where it's like that really elevated things because they implemented things like the whole gun fu thing. They let people who were stunt performers really guide how we're going to evolve action. And unfortunately now everybody wants to be John Wick, and everything feels very hyper stylized like that now. But I think there is still a purity there to some of these, and I do hope that we can get a couple more solid ones. Another, like Luke was right to write up and compare things like I Saw the Devil was another one I saw getting thrown around for this. Like that's a pretty intense movie. Another one that I think is right at home in the films we've been discussing. I think even better so does a better job of servicing story over just the violence and the action. So pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to this. I know we have an offer to get a screener for it, so I think we'll probably pick that up if you're down, Luke. I am. So
Absolutely. I think, just looking at the progression of action, at least personally, through my lens, being a kid and growing up with like Stallone, Schwarzenegger, those big properties, Last Action Hero, Predator, things like that were just like huge action properties. But then as I got a little bit older and kind of looking back and realizing how different like First Blood is different than First Blood 2, is in terms of just seeing that progression of action. But then also, discovering Charles Bronson with Death Wish and how action felt different even before we got into the 80s into the 90s. And then I remember discovering Ichi the Killer and that kind of diving into like the foreign aspect of where we get into a lot of gore, but we also intertwine it with action. Then shortly following it up with like The Raid and seeing, I love that we kind of have this little subgenre in action where it's like we just have overly gory films, and you can kind of tie it and make it horror adjacent, I guess you'd say. And they take it into some really dark territory, like the famous sequence in Old Boy, where he's taking everybody on. It's just like so pristine. It's so memorable. And, I'm not going to put The Furious up there with Old Boy. Old Boy's so iconic, but you certainly get certain shades of that when you see these fight scenes that you feel like probably could go on for a pretty good sequence and just kind of have that camera movement and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to show us with The Furious, because it feels like it does fall in line with those things. I'm not expecting that type of quality. I don't know if this is going to be one of those A-tier films that I would always go to, but it looks like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I definitely know there was another movie that is in production. I remember, I think it's got somebody associated to it who did work on the first two Raid movies, but they weren't, it's not Gareth Evans, but they have, I've heard they have like a horror, like adjacent kind of action thing where it's a little bit more supernatural, but it kind of has the same vibe of like people fighting their way through it. And I'm like, I would love to see a little bit more of a spooky, maybe add a little bit like of a zombie or like a something of that nature to really spice it up. I think that could be another level into this that we're missing right now.
Like Van Damme versus zombies or something. That'd be
something
sweet.
like that. You know what I mean? Like, so even if they were like Evil Dead zombies, where they're like, they just seem to be ever evolving, twisted nightmares, that would be great. Cause like, I think that'd be sweet. Or even if you wanted to do something like a Dog Soldiers-esque movie where it's like you have really decked out soldiers ready to go into it and they just get messed up by like these unassuming little critters. Speaking of critters, Luke and I, not to spoil an upcoming list, we were pitching Critters movies today, and I think we figured out what the next Critters iteration is going to be, guys. So we're going to pitch that to the studio here shortly. So I already sent an email. But I know kind of winding down to the show here again, Brandon, thank you so much for staying on with us, man. I did want to kind of give you the floor to kind of let the folks know a little bit more about how they can keep up with you. Like what should they be looking forward to? I know you said you got some projects coming up soon that you're working on, getting some things going, and I know you've got quite a backlog too that we can definitely turn more people on after they check out Body Cam.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing because from 2022, like early, I shot a movie called The Puppet Man in 2022 in March. And then I was in post-production on that until 2023 when I shot Body Cam. And then I finished shooting Body Cam, went back to Puppet Man, and then Body Cam took me to Night of the Reaper. And then Body Cam and Night of the Reaper both finished at the same time. And so I'm kind of in for the first time in almost like 4 years, I don't know what's next. Like I don't have something anchoring me, which is kind of terrifying, but we've been writing a lot. And the problem is like when you've done 6 features, you kind of want to get bigger budgets and stuff and do that. But the industry is so messed up that I don't know. Like we've got 3 scripts that are out right now to various people. And it's like when you have that, you kind of lose your control. And so I have another idea that I want to write for my son, because my son plays the kid in Night of the Reaper, and he's like a good little actor. He's kind of doing, he's like small and he's good. And I'm just like, I got to take advantage of this. So I want to write something for him. And so we've been like breaking down a new story that I could do for like a Body Cam type budget. And then I can just do it myself. And I think that's the hard part, is just like, and that's why movies like, or people like David Robert Mitchell, they don't make something for a long time, because it's really hard to get people to make, to give you millions of dollars to make stuff. So, I'm kind of in that position where I can either wait for a long time to get some money, or I can try and do, be more industrious and just like create something. So like right now, I don't know what's going to happen this year. I think I'll be on set again later this year, because I think one of these projects is going to pop. But if they don't by like summer, I'll probably have to just pivot to my own thing, and I'll do it, and I'll happily do it. Like I love doing the small indie stuff. It's great. So I'm just itching to get back on set, and that might be the easiest way. We'll see. But we've got 3 scripts out there right now that are just like, I don't know. It's like the industry's brutal. So yeah, hopefully something pops, because I just want to shoot again. I miss it.
Oh,
Dylan, you're muted.
Dylan's his gimmick.
Oh, that one was serious. I did that. That was a joke. I did that one for no. My problem is like I never hit the button. I usually do it on here, and I just switched it because I'm lazy today. So, all I was gonna say was I hope so, because like I think that the ingenuity and stuff that you were able to show with Body Cam alone, with just like explaining how you guys did that entire sequence, that is just crazy. It's like I know there's a big movie in you, and I'd really love to see that get made. Just because it's like when you see stuff like that, that's a scene that gets me as like a wannabe independent filmmaker excited. Like I look at that and I say, holy shit, that is fucking cool. And cool. I'm hoping you get to do more of that. Now I have to ask, because I didn't interview you. That was my partner over here. I don't know if he did this part, because I actually didn't catch the last minute of the interview, but I didn't sound like you were. Are you going to be making a werewolf movie, Brandon?
No, it's funny. I was kind of attached to help produce a werewolf movie, but it didn't happen because the cost to build the suits was too expensive on the budget they had. So it was like they needed a lot more money, and it was a new director and stuff like that. Like I don't typically produce, but they were going to shoot near me, and it was like a tax thing. So I was like, I can attach to help, whatever. But no, I do have a witch movie though, which is
okay.
Like a giant witch, which would be fun. But I don't know, something's gonna.
I'll take it. All right, we'll take it. It's not the W we wanted, but yeah, no, it's been an ongoing gag for like the first year when we did like interviews. We kept asking people, I think inadvertently, not thinking about it, like, are you gonna make a werewolf movie? Because Luke and I are just like super into werewolf movies.
That's
so
cool.
It's like, and we feel like they're just like everything else we've talked about. I just don't think there's enough of them. So it's like I always have to ask filmmakers now whenever there's something I get a chance, and I remember, I'm like, are you making something with a werewolf? So it's like,
no, but maybe I should.
I think they're a dying breed. They'll come back in a big way. I know we really liked werewolves from a couple of years ago. Or who am I kidding? what's his face? Evan's favorite movie guy, the guy who made Nosferatu. I'm crashing. I'm so exhausted.
Robert Eggers.
Yeah, it's like he's making a werewolf movie now, so he's gonna suddenly he's gonna figure it out. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever made. So, yeah, I think I definitely think that whatever you end up doing next, whether it's a big witch or a big adventure, we will be here to check it out for sure. I thank you so much for your time, dude. This has been great.
Yeah, no worries. I hope it's a Cloverfield movie, to be honest.
All right, you know what?
That would be amazing.
I was really trying to close this out and be mature about this whole thing, but
Yeah.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
until next time. Oh, I thought I was doing the outro. Sorry.
Yep. Yep. Yes, live every Sunday, but that's actually something I do have to mention because it is a holiday next week. I know we set our own hours here, but I think because we have the kiddos and stuff, we are going to call it quits and just say no Sunday Scaries next week. I think we're going to do a little watch party though. I was thinking we can kind of do maybe that on like Saturday.
Critters.
If something like that. I was gonna pitch Critters too, but I know there people in the Discord have some movies they've been waiting for, so I don't want to be too selfish. But Critters 2, speaking of Easter movies, we don't have a lot of Easter horror movies. That's a great one. So absolutely.
Ones are demented, so
there it is. But yeah, so no Sunday Scaries, but like I said, we'll do some kind of a watch party or something fun, and then we will be back here 2 weeks from today. With some more fun stuff. Hopefully some big news will drop. We'll get a bunch of good stuff and no bad stories. So that's what I'm hoping for. And again, everybody check out Brandon's movie Body Cam out on Shudder, as well as Night of the Reaper and anything else on his filmography there. Again, thank you, sir, for your time, and we really appreciate it. So that's gonna do it for me. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
I'm Luke Janesco.
I'm Adrian Morris Jones.
And I'm Brandon Christensen.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horse shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna smash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna smash your ass.